Joining us now, though, is Chaz Haywood. Chaz Haywood is the Rockingham-Harrisonburg Clerk of Court. And he said when he announced that his commitment to public service and our next generation is what drove him to seek the Republican nomination and go up against the Cynthia Dunbar convention chainsaw. Chaz, good to have you with us.
Good morning from a balmy Shenandoah Valley.
I know, I love the Valley, and they were telling us that we might get more snow in Southeast Virginia on Tuesday, so our kids can be off another 7 days of school. Unbelievable.
My kids are always happy to have those days off. I'm not sure about working families, though.
Yes, Chaz. Okay, let's cut to the chase here, and we're going to get into politics and your positions in a second, but I just want to start with these conventions. I mean, there is really an art to these. It's not like winning a primary or something like that. I mean, you got to sign delegates up. You got to go to mass meetings. You got to be members of committees. You got to pay money. I mean, it's a very involved process. And normally the most ardent people of either side show up for these. And look, I went through the Harrisonburg heist with Cuccinelli. I'm sure you were there, where he threatened the delegation and went back on his deal and stole our Trump delegates. I also witnessed the Cynthia Dunbar convention operation in defeating, fair and square, in defeating Suzanne Obenchain in her hometown, where Obenchain never should have lost that race, right? I saw it with my own eyes. I was on the air for 4 hours. I was there. I saw it. These people know how to run a convention. How do you beat that?
How do you beat that? Well, first, look, you mentioned May 9th, but it's actually May 19th.
May 19th. I'm sorry. May 19th.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Let's make sure folks show up in Harrisonburg, my backyard.
May 19th.
And the JMU Convocation Center on May 19th. So how do you beat that? Well, look, first, let's talk a little bit about, I always tell folks that we're a nation of laws. And while we're a nation of laws, we are also a party of rules. So the biggest issue we have here, I think, is who can make those rules, and you just got into that and explained it a little bit more. But at the end of the day, this is about being boots on the ground. This is about reaching out to every community, every civic organization, talking to families about things that matter to families and getting them excited and letting them understand that they have a voice in this. And talking about issues that matter. I mean, when I got into this because folks were talking about standing up to government and quoting, so many of our great Americans, but they weren't talking about immigration and national defense and infrastructure and healthcare. That's what matters to people. And, as a veteran, I know what it's like to raise my hand and take an oath to defend my country. And I care a lot about my country, and all Americans care about their country. We want it better. So they need a voice. And so I started to talk about issues, and those issues started to connect, and we're finding great momentum. But the big part of what we do, what's connecting with folks more than anything is my experience as an elected official here in Rockingham County, the city of Harrisonburg, where we have proven that you can take a government entity, run it more like a business, and make it more efficient. Make government work more for less.
All right, so I'm trying to get a feel here for what your strategy is, because you don't really have a base. You've never gone through one of these conventions before. So I guess would the first order of business be changing that rule? Because if you don't change it and you get there, Cynthia Dunbar is going to win this on the first ballot. I don't have any doubt in my mind. So is part of the strategy to change that rule so that it becomes a consensus? Is that my understanding?
John, people need a voice. The party elite that are in control of making these decisions, trying to push it out from the 6th district, is not the way. The people need to make that rule at the convention and decide what that rule is. Look, I think I'm the only candidate that's been a unit chair here in the 6th district. I've run a local party. I'm the only candidate that was actually on the 6th district committee. I was the vice chairman for many years on the 6th district committee. And again, the rules need to be set at the convention. And regardless, John, again, we're a party of rules. Whatever those rules are, we're just going to work forward in a way to win this nomination. I'm very confident that we're going to continue to sign up and turn out delegates and get them in the seats at the convention.
Chaz, give me some of your positions that you're going to take. If you win the convention, you would be the favorite to win the seat because this is a pretty Republican district. So whoever comes out of that convention in Harrisonburg on May 19th is likely to get a seat in the U.S. Congress. Let's start with Trump's immigration positions right now and DACA. He's asked for three things: border security, including the wall. He's asked to get rid of chain migration and to end the scam visa lottery system. Scam is my narrative of accepting people in that don't necessarily contribute anything to the economic well-being of Americans, all right? And we have a $20 trillion debt. So let's start there. Do you favor, and part of that would be a deal on DACA to let the 800,000 find a way to stay. Are you in favor of that, and do you believe that any deal should have the wall?
Well, number one, the wall needs to be built. I mean, we've already seen that illegal immigration is down 60% just since Trump took office. But the problem is what people keep forgetting about is this wall is about our national defense. I'm the veteran in the race. I understand what it's like to take that oath to defend our country. And when we talk about that wall, it's not just a person running across the border. It could be somebody coming across the border with horrible ill intentions, not to just us as a financial burden on our society, but someone who wants to do true harm to our society. So from the immigration side, let me give you a great example. I mean, the federal government's letting us down all the time when it comes to illegal immigrants. Right here in Harrisonburg, we had an individual just this past August led police on a high-speed chase, 80 miles per hour, and ran into my courthouse. And it turns out that individual had already been charged before with not having a license, being illegal, having a DUI, and he had been let go because ICE didn't do its job to come and assist local law enforcement and do their job in making sure that individual is deported. So, again, we're a nation of laws. We need to enforce those laws.
Okay, give me a couple of your positions that are distinctive or disparate from either Cynthia Dunbar or Ben Klein. I mean, what is different about Chaz Haywood? Because anybody that wins this convention is likely to beat whoever the Democrat nominee is. So why vote for Chaz Haywood? Why not vote for Ben Klein? He's a conservative. Why not vote for Cynthia? She's a conservative. What's different?
Look, John, I believe what makes me different is that I am a proven leader. I'm a proven elected official in the Commonwealth of Virginia that leads an efficient government. I have a staff. I have a very large, we have a great budget that we have to be responsible to our citizenry. And I've done that. I've led that office. I know how to do more with less. I know how to make sure that we get government, out of competing with the private sector. I've done that in my office. We've gotten the Supreme Court out of the government systems out of our courthouse by putting RFPs together and putting it out to bid, making it using that technology that the government should not be producing and using that to make it more efficient and effective for our citizenry. From the veterans side, look, I have a huge, my heart is on veterans issues. You've heard me talk about that a lot already because I'm proud of my service. And, I think we've done a huge disservice to our veterans. We've made lots of promises over the years. We have told them that they will have health care. We'll tell them to have access to health care. But you know what? It's one thing to say, sure, you have health care, but you have to drive 2 hours to get it. That's not okay. It's not keeping our promises to our veterans. We can talk about the Caregivers Act. Anyone since 2001 has access to home caregiving aid, but the individuals who need that home caregiving aid are those who are from World War II and Korea and Vietnam, and currently they're not covered. They don't get that home health care. So instead, we're spending more taxpayers' money to house them in VA centers, away from their families, when their families are ready to take care of them if given the opportunity. I was at a VFW just the other night up in Page County, and as you pull into most VFWs and American Legions, you'll often see a van outside. And that's because, in the military, we always talk about looking to our left and right in our foxhole and taking care of those troops next to us. And American Legions and VFWs and AMVETs, they spend a lot of time making sure that their brothers and sisters are being transported to get to their doctor's appointments, to get their medicine that they need.
Chaz, again, is there one issue, and I get your leadership aspect, but I mean, you're not running for governor, right? You're running for Congress, so you're one of 435, and really what matters isn't how you manage your office, it matters how you're going to vote. So
I'm going to vote to make everything more efficient and government more effective. as we've done here in Rockingham County and the city of Harrisonburg for many years. We are one of the only offices that actually has multiple representations. You go to a lot of localities where they have one representative. Well, we don't do that here. We save taxpayers money by representing more people and thus saving money.
So then,
smaller business.
If there's a DACA deal on the table that includes the three items that the president has laid out, end chain migration, end the scam lottery visa, 50,000 that come in, that would be the second one.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. They've been talking about this lottery system for years. The years that I worked for Congressman Goodlatte, and I also spent 6 years with Governor Allen, we've been talking about this lottery and everything that's wrong with this lottery system. We need to be encouraging individuals who are going to come here and allow folks here who actually are coming with skills when it comes to immigration, that aren't going to just be a leech upon, upon society, but actually have something to give back. And the lottery doesn't do anything with that. The chance that you may have somebody that has quality skills is not the way to allow folks to immigrate.
Okay, so you would be in favor of that kind of a compromise. Okay, let's get to the government shutdown, right? The Democrats right now are threatening a government shutdown, not to fund the government if some of them don't get a clean DACA bill. If you're a Republican in Congress right now and you have to deal with that, what would be your message?
We see these threats for government shutdown constantly. And what folks need to remember is that we send these folks to D.C. to do a job. And if they're not doing their job, we need to get them out of D.C. Everyone talks about drain the swamp. We have lots of good catchphrases, but the fact of the matter is, a 60% win is a win.
Okay. What about infrastructure? How do you stand on that? How do you see that going? And if the Trump administration comes up with an infrastructure plan that would involve taxes, like gasoline tax or something like that, in order to get the money to rebuild the nation's infrastructure, fix our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our seaports, many of which are crumbling, but you got to pay for it, likely to be paid for or proposed by a gasoline tax or some kind of an excise tax. How would you view that?
Everybody knows. If anybody's ever traveled the 6th Congressional District of Virginia, everyone knows how broken infrastructure is because they've traveled Interstate 81. Everyone knows that if you travel Interstate 81, you plan on sitting somewhere on Interstate 81. But obviously that infrastructure, it takes up a whole lot more. Within infrastructure, we're talking about the electrical grids, we're talking about cybersecurity, we're talking about rural internet. The 6th Congressional District has some of the most rural areas with Bath County and Highland County, and there's a lot more than just dealing about with roads and how we're going to pay for those. There are a lot of ideas how we can get more of these vehicles off some of these roads. Rail has been discussed for years. More inland ports. An investment in inland ports will add jobs and get trucks off the road.
So potentially, would you be in favor of a gasoline tax or some kind of an excise tax to pay for infrastructure improvements?
No, I don't think that's necessary. I think what they need to look at is what the budget is and where we're wasting money. It's not like the government is not already taking enough from taxpayers. Mm-hmm. They need to use it more efficiently. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Look, I keep talking about how I run my office here. I've been here for a decade, and we are running my office on the same amount of staff that we ran it 10 years ago when I came to office. Mm-hmm. Our caseload is probably 25-30% higher than it was 10 years ago. You look at the Compensation Board statistics here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and what it'll tell you is that my staff here do more per person than any other circuit court in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that's because we stepped back and we looked at how we're spending our money, where we're spending our money, and we're running it more efficiently. It works. But you have to have everybody willing to make the cuts, and all those cuts are going to hurt. If they hurt for the mom and pop shop on the corner, they need to be hurting for the government as well.
Okay, Chaz, good luck in your race. I look forward to having a spirited debate, and it should be very interesting. And I know you have to go through the process of signing many delegates up, and you'll be at many forums and debates, so it should be very interesting. 3 very interesting candidates in this race. Cynthia Dunbar, the current Republican State Committee woman, Ben Klein, who is a House of Delegates member from the Lynchburg area, and Chaz Haywood, who is the clerk for, it's the Harrisonburg area, right, Chaz? Harrisonburg and
Harrisburg, Rockingham County, that's correct.
Right, okay, thank you. For more information on Chaz, and if you want to sign up to get involved in his campaign, you can go to chazforcongress.com. That's Chaz, C-H-A-Z, 4, F-O-R, Congress.com. You can get more information there. By the way, Chaz is also being supported by Suzanne and Mark Obenshane in this race, the state senator from Harrisonburg. Chaz, thanks for being with us.